Welcome to the Crack House Chronicles, your favorite true crime podcast. I am Donnie, and with me is a man that wants everyone to know that being clean and sober means that he's showered and he's headed to the beer store. It's Dale.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
You got to roll on up there. You got to be spiffy.
Clean and sober.
That don't last long, man.
It don't last long at all.
It's a short line between the clean and the sober part. You get clean and go knock that shit out.
Yeah. I promise, officer, I was sober when I got here.
Listen here, Miss Ossifer.
I haven't had a drink since September of last week.
That's right.
What's going on, dude?
Oh, you, man.
No, not me.
Your favorite kind of weather? It's lovely out, isn't it?
I hate this weather. I hate the muggy, skeeter, bug-infested.
It's only 97 degrees.
Is that all?
It's humid.
It's a humid heat.
It's not like that, that dry heat they have out west, where it's hot, but not really hot.
Yeah.
It's hot and real hot.
It's hot and muggy and sticky here, yeah.
Yeah, you just wipe it off almost.
Yeah, you can feel the air hit you when you walk outside. Thank goodness for air conditioning.
That's right. And swimming pools.
That's it.
Now if we can just put the swimming pool in the house.
Yeah, well, you can.
You can, but
yeah,
not my house.
You can do about anything you want to do.
Just give me a kiddie pool, I guess.
Yeah.
Sit in the cooler. Hey, that's save a trip.
Yeah, have your beer right there beside of you. You got the TV.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, there you go. You can do it. What's going on? You got any good shout outs, dude?
I do, man.
Hey, bring them on.
Woo! How about that?
I like it.
We have an Apple Podcast 5-star.
5-star.
Yes, we do. This one comes from down in Georgia, from Dogs Fan 8523. It says, an awesome job. Love the show, guys. And would it be possible to do some Georgia cases? Well, we look back a little bit. We've done a few, but it's definitely possible we can do some more. Don't go make some so we can cover them.
No.
We'll dig up a few, but if you go back, I know it's a while back. If you go back to episode 22, Russell and Shirley Durman. That's Durman, right?
Durman, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a pretty damn good episode. It's probably one of the early ones we did.
Still an unsolved
really
case.
Good, yeah, and they mentioned a while back they had some stuff coming up on it, but they have not released any new info. And then episode 61 of Patrice Andrews, we covered that. And then later we had an interview with her son, Pistol. I'm not sure the number on that one. We can look it up. And then we have episode 62, Gary Michael Hilton, and he was a state park killer. He kind of went through Georgia, wasn't really in Georgia. But
I think he did some crimes there in Georgia while he was there.
He probably did.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a couple you can start out with, and we'll get you some more.
Yeah, we'll see if we can find a good Georgia case to do.
Yeah. But we really appreciate you taking the time to drop us a 5-star and giving us a review, and we love you, man.
Yep. And if anybody wants to go to Apple Podcast and leave a review, please do. We'll give you a big old shout out.
You can be just like Dogs Fan.
Dogs Fan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If anybody wants to go to the store page, get you a t-shirt. If you want to go to the website and click on the donate button, we'll be glad to take some donations.
We appreciate that.
It helps keeps the light on.
I'm telling you.
And if you just want to tell a friend about us, we'll take that too.
Yeah, we got a Patreon too if you want to check it out.
Yep. We don't put much on it, but it's there, and
we have good intentions.
Yes.
We just don't have much time.
Yeah, it's tough.
And we really appreciate you guys that are doing it. Thanks so much. We really do.
The money does help.
It does. Whew. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You guys are our main help.
Yeah, podcasting ain't cheap.
Nope. It ain't lucrative either.
No.
But we do it for the fun and for all you guys, and we love you, our big family.
We do.
This is our favorite part of the week, no doubt.
It is. We love to record.
We do.
All right, dude. Nothing else. We're going to get into our week's case.
Well, I see a good one coming up.
You do?
Yeah.
You see it?
I see it.
Oh. Well, keep your eye on the ball. We've got a good one. Yeah. But this week, we are talking about...
Well, guess what? We're going to Texas.
Yeah, we're going back to Texas.
We can't stay out of Texas.
No.
Hey, we love all our Texas family.
We do.
They love us. Okay, I won't cut you off again. Go ahead.
That's all right.
We get you, it's about 2 minutes. We'll get yelled at.
Yeah, well, somebody will be emailing us, so you're taking too long. But this week we are talking about Charles Frederick Albright.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just a little bit of background on Charles Albright.
Mr. Albright.
He was born on August the 10th of 1933 in Amarillo, Texas.
All right, then.
Yeah. And when he was 3 weeks old, Dale, he was adopted by a lady named Dale Albright and her husband, Fred.
She's got a good name anyway, don't she?
Yeah. But she spells her name D-E-L-L-E, but it's pronounced the same way, Dale.
So it's kind of like Southern Belle.
Yeah, but Dale.
Yeah.
With an E.
Yeah.
But yours got an E, too. But her husband, Fred, was a Dallas grocer. I guess he owned a grocery store, maybe, or a store.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. But the Albrights, they lived in a all-white middle-class neighborhood in the Oak Cliff neighborhood of Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
It's right there in Dallas, Texas.
Across the river or something, I think.
Yeah, across the river from downtown.
I've never been there, but I'm sure somebody will let us know.
Oh, they will.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
But according to the story, Dale would later tell Charles that his birth mother was a pretty bright law student.
Yeah.
And was just 16 years old, who had secretly gotten married to another student and gotten pregnant.
That's just all kind of breaking laws right there.
Yeah. And when the
you'd think somebody smart enough to go to law school at 16 would know this.
Yeah, but
stuff happens. I get it.
Youngins will be youngins.
Yeah, they will.
But she told Charles that when his birth mother's father found out that that she was pregnant, he demanded that she annul the marriage and give him up for adoption.
Yeah. Otherwise, she was going to be cut off completely from the family.
Yeah.
And that sounds pretty rough, but back in them days, the 30s, I guess, it was a whole different world.
But that was the story that she told Charles.
Yeah, we don't know.
But now, Charles's mother, Dale, she made sure that she would never abandon him. And she pampered Charles to no end. And she wouldn't even allow him to drink cow's milk.
Yeah, she's kind of odd about that.
Yeah.
She got a lot of quirks.
She does. And she actually kept goats there at the house in the backyard just for the goat milk.
Yeah.
So you have goat milk to drink.
Just get it from the tap.
Yeah. And she would do some other extreme stuff. When Charles was little, she would occasionally put a little dress on him and give him dolls to hold. Dress him up like a little girl, I guess.
Okay.
I have no idea why she did that.
Well, maybe she just wanted to see what it was like to have a girl for a day or two or something.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I mean, if she adopted a kid, you'd think that she would maybe, if she wanted a daughter, she'd have picked out a daughter.
Well, she probably got what she could get.
Yeah, well,
I don't know how it works.
But 2 or 3 times a day, she would change Charles' clothes.
She was weird, man. She didn't want no dirt on him or nothing. She was trying to keep him clean. She was like protective times 10 about this kid. So,
She was, and she was afraid that he might touch some dog poop or something and get polio.
Yeah, back in them, polio was pretty rough going around, and I guess that's how you get it. I don't know. I hadn't really studied up on the polio. But apparently, she was really getting it in, putting it in his head, to don't really get out there and don't get dirty, don't play in the dirt, because, it's a possibility you might touch some dog poop in the dirt, and then you're going to get the polio. Yeah,
because she would take him to Parkland Hospital there in Dallas.
Yes.
And to see the polio patients that were locked up in the iron lungs.
Yeah.
She'd do that to the little kid, man.
It's kind of scary, man.
And she'd tell him, you could spend the rest of your life here.
Yeah. So don't go out there and play in the dog poop.
Yeah. Crazy. And it was one instance, he was just about a year old. She actually put him in a dark room as punishment for chewing on one of her tape measures. I don't know why.
I don't either.
If that was some kind of...
Maybe that was a grandma's tape measure.
I don't know.
I don't know what dark room's got to do with anything.
I don't know, but even...
She's just twisting this boy up bad.
I know. And when he wouldn't take a nap, she would tie him to his bed, strap him down.
That helps.
And when he wouldn't drink his milk, she would spank him.
Yeah.
So she had some, like you said, some quirks about her.
Yeah, I get, back in them days, you get wore out. You get a little wear out every now and again, but I don't know about her not drinking his milk. But yeah, very, very quirky.
But the people around town, the neighborhood, they talked about Dale Albright as being odd and having a grim nature.
Yeah, she wasn't being undercover at all.
And no one could ever remember her buying herself a dress. She sort of dressed down pretty much, and she kept a scarf over her head and wore clothes from Goodwill and thrift stores.
Well, she was very thrifty. She didn't want to spend no money. I mean, I don't know. I think she was stay at home, and stay at home wife. So there wasn't much income, and I don't know what he was making as a grocer, but she definitely wasn't blowing any money.
But it's been reported that her and her husband Fred were far from poor, but she usually scrimped on like meals, and she would even pick up old bones at the local butcher. But she would go and get them.
It's gonna make up some soup with them, I guess.
Crazy.
So, yeah, I guess she was good with the dollar, I guess.
Very, very thrifty.
Penny pinching.
But now Charles never openly complained about anything, and he always appreciated that his mother taught him manners. And
probably knew better than complain.
Yeah, and Dale told him to speak politely about other people or not say anything at all.
Right.
So that's a good trait to have today.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah, a lot of people just wouldn't talk.
And she taught him how to respect women, especially when it came to sex.
This is weird.
This is the weird part, yeah.
Very weird.
Because she actually told her son that whenever her husband Fred saw her in the bedroom in her underwear, he would try to grab her.
Yeah, and he was saying he was greedy with sex.
Whatever that means.
I don't
know. But he would try to grab her, but she was not going to have any of that.
Yeah. Too much groping going on around here.
Yeah. But she was going to make sure her son
didn't act that way.
Exactly.
Right.
And he wasn't going to be like that with any girlfriends either. But as he grew older, she insisted on chauffeuring him around when he was on a date. Yeah. And get this, she would even call the girl's parents to let them know that her son would not do anything that was inappropriate.
That's right.
Yeah, he was going to mind his P's and Q's.
God damn, they wouldn't even want to show your face no more.
Oh, man, you imagine showing up at school and say,
guess what?
Yeah, there he is.
Sorry.
But, there's a lot of people around the neighborhood saying, she was overprotected, but they were, saying that it's because she never raised a child before.
Right.
Because, I get it. When you got your first kid, you're a little bit more...
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
You wrap them up in bubble wrap and don't let them see nobody. And the second one, you can just give them a hammer and say, go play.
Yeah.
I mean, right. It's kind of crazy.
You're playing the road, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. So
big difference.
Yeah, but I don't guess her and Fred were able to have any kids, or she didn't let him touch her. That's what I'm thinking.
Could have been.
But Charles, he could see that his mom was wanting him to succeed and get ahead, and every morning before the school bus came to pick him up, she had him practice the piano for at least 30 minutes every morning.
Mm-hmm. And she taught him lots of reading, writing, arithmetic, and stuff. And actually, she would, do more for him after he got home from school. He would get more lessons from her, and enough to where he actually moved up 2 grades in elementary school.
Yeah.
So he's a real smart guy. And a lot of that stuff she's doing is for his own good, but I just don't think she was kind of seeing what it was doing to him.
Yeah. I mean, you can probably overdo it, I guess.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. But now, Charles's mother introduced him to the world of taxidermy,
yes,
Dale.
Something they could do together, I think.
Yeah, because when he was 11 years old, she enrolled him in a mail order course. This was through the Northwestern School of Taxidermy.
That's kind of cool, I think.
It was taught by Professor J.W. Elwood. And it was reported that, they said that you're beginning to learn the art that is only second to painting and sculpturing.
Yeah.
That's what was said in the little brochure, I guess.
Right. A true taxidermist must be an artist.
And I get it. I mean, I've seen people's work, and it looks like it'd be pretty hard to do.
And I've seen some that look worse than shit.
Yeah.
But, there's some that really, really look good.
Yeah. And it is an art, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah. It's not, you just don't grab one and do it. You got to know what you're doing.
But this was something that Charles and his mom could do together. And he set out to work on dead birds he found. She showed him how to use all the tools, the knife used to, cut the skull, and the little spoon to scoop out the brains.
Wow.
And she even showed him how to cut the eyes from the sockets.
Right.
And forceps to pull the eyes out. So they were working on this together. This is something they could do together, like we said.
It's kind of got a Dahmer feel to it, doesn't it?
Kind of, in a way.
When they went and picked up roadkill and did that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they would often go to the taxidermy shop. I guess they have a local taxidermy shop. I don't know where one is around here, but I guess a bigger city like Dallas would probably have something like that, maybe.
I don't know.
But they would go there, and Charles would be looking around, and he would look at the eyes they had.
Right, like the crowning touch was the eyes.
Yeah, the little glass eyes that they made.
Gloriously fake eyes.
Yeah. The glass eyes.
Yeah.
And he would, marvel over them, and he'd touch them, and, they were just fascinating to him.
Well, when you look at it, like a deer or a mount or something, the eyes is really what makes it.
Yeah.
I mean, because they look so real.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But Dale, his mom, wouldn't let him get any eyes. She said they were too expensive.
Well, so I'm sure, especially for her.
Yeah.
She wasn't going to spend no money. She didn't have to.
Yeah. And they would often take buttons from her sewing kit. And
she said she had a better, cheaper way, and then she would give him some buttons to use.
Yeah, or just sew the eyes shut when they didn't have any buttons to use.
Aw.
Yeah. But she allowed Charles to take these animals that he had stuffed and put them in the oak china cabinet in front of the house for, I guess, visitors coming over. She would
Kind
show
of like
him,
his trophy case.
yeah, show him what he'd been doing. Yeah.
Cool.
But this was some of his works of art that he'd gotten good at. But Charlie, he had a pretty good youth, Dale. He was a Boy Scout and done a lot of different things.
Right.
Yeah. And like I said, he even skipped 2 grades.
Yes.
Very, very bright kid.
Mm-hmm.
And when he graduated high school at the age of 15, he attended North Texas University, and he was wanting to become a medical doctor. And while attending North Texas University, police caught Charlie carrying some stolen cash, a rifle, and 2 handguns. And this crime landed him in jail for a year and causing him to drop out of college.
Yeah, they'd do that.
Yeah. And after he was released from jail, Charlie enrolled at Arkansas State Teachers College, and he was majoring in pre-med studies. But after that, he was found with some stolen items.
Again.
And the college expelled him.
He just couldn't quit stealing.
He just couldn't keep his hands
To
clean.
himself. Yeah.
But
Well, I guess his mom told him he couldn't grab nothing else, so he was grabbing everything else.
yeah, but Charlie believed he still deserved his college degree despite being expelled. So he falsified some
He
stuff.
just made one up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually created a fictitious bachelor's and master's degree, forging them and using stolen documents and forged signatures, like I said.
Just
Yeah.
make it up, yeah.
Now, Charlie married and had a daughter with his college girlfriend, but he was caught for falsifying his degree while teaching at high school.
Yeah.
And he was placed on probation.
Mm.
Yeah. And his wife separated from him in 1965, and they later divorced in 1974.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he received a 2-year prison sentence when he was caught stealing hundreds of dollars worth of goods from a hardware store.
Right.
I think he stole a saw and some other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he broke in the back door, cut a chain, and broke in the back door.
Yeah. But he was released after serving only 6 months of his sentence. And after his release, he befriended one of his neighbors and was eventually asked to babysit their children.
Yeah, what a guy.
Yeah, he was attending church and doing pretty well. From what it seemed, he was singing in the choir, and everybody just liked Charlie.
Yeah, it wasn't long. I mean, he was even in robes out helping the priest hand out, communion, that kind of thing. I mean, he can talk his way into anything.
Yeah.
And everybody, super, they just loved him, I guess, because it just didn't really, all you get is what he's telling you,
Mm-hmm. And in 1981, Charlie sexually molested the 14-year-old daughter of one of his neighbors.
Mm.
And he pled guilty and received probation for this crime, but later claimed he was innocent and only pled guilty to avoid the hassle.
All right. Well, this is like the second time, wasn't it? There was a 9-year-old girl that he got in trouble for. She said, he did something, and he denied it too, but also didn't he plead guilty, or he just took a guilty to stay out of trouble on that too?
Yeah, he did. So he was just getting a slap on the wrist, or really not anything at all.
He never gets in trouble much for anything, and this is another one of those patterns.
Yeah. So also in 1981, when Charlie was 48 years old, his mother Dale dies.
Right.
And at this time, he actually travels and goes to meet his real birth mother. And he finds out that she's not a lawyer and never attended law school, but was actually a nurse at the time that he was born. So his mother told him a lie. I don't know why she wanted to make it sound better than what it was, or just make him think that he came from a prominent family or something. Who knows?
Right.
But that's what she had told him.
It's very possible.
Yeah. But in 1985, Charlie fell in love with a woman named Dixie Austin. And she was a shy widow that Charlie had met while traveling to Arkansas. And his relationship with Dixie was one of the most romantic times of his life. He would take her on classic dinner dates and charmed her with stories and talked about art and nature. And Charlie eventually invited his girlfriend to live with him. But soon she supported him financially and paid all of his bills.
There you go, Smooth. Mr. Smooth.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But Charlie was delivering newspapers in the early morning, and apparently this was a cover-up to visit some prostitutes without arousing his wife's suspicion.
Mm.
And this is when Charles Albright was getting into some deeper and darker stuff, dude.
Right.
Yeah. Because in December of 1990, there was a 33-year-old prostitute by the name of Mary Lou Pratt. She was found dead in the DeSoto city limits. This is just outside of South Dallas, Texas. And she was a 156-pound woman who was found stripped of everything except a T-shirt and bra,
Right.
which was pulled up over her breast.
Hmm.
Her eyes were shut, and she had severe chest and facial bruises. And it can be concluded that the murderer beat her before they killed her.
Right.
Yeah, and one of the local residents from the neighborhood where this incident occurred was so horrified by what he saw, he actually brought out a flowered bed sheet from his house and covered her up.
She was found all sprawled out too. I mean, legs spread. It was really bad. It wasn't she was just killed and thrown out. She was posed.
Exactly.
To, make it look even worse.
Yeah. But when the Dallas police arrived on the scene, one of the officers immediately recognized Mary Pratt, since she was a veteran prostitute who worked at the Star Motel in Oak Cliff.
Hmm.
And while the sex workers often called for help during, when they had abusive clients,
Right.
it was rare for one to be murdered, especially someone as well liked as Mary. But Mary Pratt's file was handed over to one of Dallas's most talented investigators. His name was John Westphalen. And the murder was a dumped body case, one of the most complicated kind to solve.
Right. Well, it's where somebody was killed in one location and then dumped in another.
Exactly.
So there's no crime scene per se,
Yeah. And
So
no murder weapon or anything.
Right. And very, very little forensic evidence.
But Westphalen and his partner Stan McNear went to the office of the Dallas County Medical Examiner to watch Mary Pratt's autopsy. And during the autopsy, one of the pathologists noted the needle marks on her arm.
Oh, it was a bunch of them.
Yeah, and the bullet hole in her head. But the examiner, when they were doing the autopsy, let out a gasp once they opened Mary Pratt's eyes.
Yeah, she said that she was really shocked. She had, seen the the needle tracks and all this stuff. But when she went up to her by her head to get her eye color, that's when she opened her eyes, and there were none.
They were both missing.
Yeah, she opened one. She said it was missing. Then she opened the other one, and it was also missing. And it had been done so precisely that you couldn't even tell that they were gone while the eyes were closed.
Man.
Everything was done surgically almost. I mean,
Yeah.
It was just looked like it was a very experienced surgeon have done this. It was just
Surgical
crazy
precision,
how much
yeah.
precision was done. No tissue was disturbed. Eyelids were fine. Everything was crazy. She was just really mind blown.
Yeah. And after the shocking situation at the examiner's office, Westphalen contacted the FBI's Violent Crime Apprehension Unit, and the unit stores all the nation's most gruesome murders on its database. But the FBI agent reported that they had no record of anything like this, that occurred with the eyeballs being removed,
Right.
like Mary Pratt.
Crazy.
Now we're moving up to February of 1991, and this is a lady by the name of Susan Peterson. She was another young prostitute, and she was dumped on the same street Mary Pratt was, outside of the Dallas city limits of DeSoto.
Right. Where all these girls are working in, it was really, low economical place. It was kind of dirty and nasty, and most of them were really addicted to drugs, and a lot of them were either doing it for money for drugs or just trying to support their kids or whatever. So, yeah, it's a pretty rough section where these girls are working.
Yeah, but she had been stripped, and her breasts were unveiled, and eyes shut the same way as Mary Pratt's.
Yeah.
And only she was shot in the back of the head, at the top of the head, and in the left breast.
Yeah.
But Susan Peterson's case was assigned to Detective Larry Oliver, who didn't know about Mary Pratt's murder only 2 months earlier. And the case unfolded in the same way as Pratt's case. And when Oliver visited the medical examiner, they discovered that both her eyeballs were removed from her body.
Right. Missing.
Yes. So they got a pattern going here, dude.
Pretty creepy.
Yeah. Now, on March the 19th of 1991, there was another prostitute. Her name was Shirley Williams, and she was found dead, and this time at the Avalon Motel. And her body was found at 6:30 in the morning, a half a block away from the elementary school in cliff. Yeah, right there at
So
the school.
as
Yeah,
these kids are walking to school, they see this naked,
corpse.
lifeless
Yeah,
corpse laying on the ground.
crazy, man.
Awful.
Just lifeless there on the curb, really.
You know, you put it there just so they'd be found.
Yeah. And investigator Westphalen was in charge of uncovering the murder of Shirley Williams, and when he arrived at the murder site, he directed the medical examiner's field agents to see if the eyeballs were intact.
Yeah, first thing, go check that first.
Yeah. And when they discovered that the body had no eyeballs, they realized that they were dealing with the same killer.
They had themselves a serial killer.
They did. And during the autopsy of Shirley Williams, the examiner found the broken tip of a X-Acto knife.
Yeah, well, they were looking and they did an x-ray. They found it was a little tiny triangle, and it was trying. Once they pulled it out, they found it was the tip of an X-Acto knife, the blade, yeah.
And what they realized was at the time of Shirley Williams' death that this killer was in a rush this time.
Yep.
And she also had a broken nose, facial bruises, and was shot in the back of the head.
Yeah, so I guess he got in a hurry or he was rushed, and so he didn't do the precise, clean job he usually does, and actually had broken his blade.
Yep. Now, law enforcement faced an issue with Shirley Williams' murder, and they realized that they had to change tactics this time. The two previous victims were white sex workers from the Star Motel, but Shirley Williams was a woman from a different motel in another city, and there was no telling where this killer would strike again.
Right.
Crazy. But Charles Albright was targeted as a suspect for the killings when a woman reported to police that he and Mary Pratt were acquainted, and apparently he was also known among the local prostitutes to have an infatuation with their eyes.
Yeah, and he was always, we keep saying how he's kind of smooth and talks over stuff and whatever, but he was known to a lot of these ladies who he was, and actually he went over and he helped them out, and sometimes he would give them money to get food or take care of the kids or get drugs, wherever they needed. He would help them out, and as much so much so as some of them even had him wrote down as an emergency contact.
That's crazy, dude.
So he was a real good guy, but he was definitely a guy wearing a mask. I mean, not a mask, but he was two different people for sure. Yeah,
one person by day and another one at night.
Yeah, he flipped that switch. You didn't want that one.
That's right. But after several prostitutes came forward saying that Charlie had assaulted them, police had reasonable suspicion and could obtain a warrant to search his home. And there, investigators found a Smith & Wesson .44 Magnum revolver, several X-Acto knives, and a red-stained condom at his residence. And they also discovered Nazi literature, books about serial killers, and several dolls with missing eyes.
Yeah, I think he found, by one of the ladies, they found a condom wrapper, and then they found the same brand in his house.
Yes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the gun wasn't matched to one of the one used in the murders.
Right, it was different.
But they did find hair consistent with Shirley Williams on his blankets and in his vacuum.
Yes.
And based on this evidence, Charles Albright was placed under arrest and was charged with all three of the murders. And Rhonda Boeing, she was killed in an unsolved case from 1988. Yeah.
So these three plus one more.
Yes, exactly. Now, this trial began on December 2nd of 1991, and lacking evidence, the prosecution relied heavily on their hair evidence that linked Charles Albright to the three murders. But though DNA evidence was linked to Rhonda Boeing's murder, the charge was dropped because he had an alibi.
Right.
Yeah. Now, Charles Albright was convicted of killing Shirley Williams, and she was the last of the three murdered prostitutes, and sentenced to life in prison. His defense attempted to appeal the charge due to the lack of evidence, but it was overruled. But Charles Albright was incarcerated at the John Montford Psychiatric Unit until he died at the age of 87 in 2020. But he was labeled the Eyeball Killer. But before he was labeled the Eyeball Killer, he had other names, the Dallas Ripper and the Dallas Slasher.
Yeah. Well, really, there was another prostitute named Veronica Rodriguez, and she kind of came forward, and she told them that she had been with Mary Pratt the night that she was killed, and so they had both went with this guy, and they were having a three-way, and they took them out to this field, And once she saw him kill her, she took off running. And she was a very small lady, so she had run, and she finally found a drainage ditch, and she crawled up in the drainage ditch and hid. And then once she knew he was gone, she got out and ran to the closest house, and this guy took her in. Well, she told the cops all this stuff, but they didn't really ever believe her. She was one of those. She was really bad off on drugs, but she would tell them stuff, but she was known to lie a good bit, kind of the cry wolf kind of syndrome thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes her story would change, but it basically was it was basically the same, but a little bit of story stuff. So really, she had told them the whole time she was there and what was going on, and she told them the guy's name that was at the house, and she went when he opened the door. She knew him from her work per se. And then another time he came to pick her up, and she told him that this was the guy, and they found out his address, and they took down the address, and once they run it came back as Albright's. So this guy was given the other address, and that's how they got onto him. So once they went there, they looked up the records in the house, and it was a rental property under his name and his father's name.
Yes.
But since he had passed away and all the properties had went to Charles, it was basically his stuff. So that's how they got on his case.
That's how they linked it to him.
And really, it was two beat cops that was friends who basically took care of these girls. I mean, they knew they were doing illegal stuff, but they were kind of like they took them as these were our girls, and they out there they were worried about these girls. And she went to him, and this girl was really the one who broke the case. Even though it was kind of sketchy, and even she tried to back out of it later about change her story and stuff, but really she's the one that put them on the right thing. It wasn't really I guess it was I would not want to say that the investigator didn't break the case, but this beat cop is the one who done it, and she went to them with all the information, and the guy's like, damn, sound like you're onto something. And that's how they went to the house and found all the stuff.
Yeah. All right, Dale, but that is the case of Charles Albright, the eyeball killer.
It's kind of a weird name.
It is, ain't it?
He really didn't kill the eyeballs.
No.
He should have been like the eyeball collector, maybe.
Yeah, because you know what? They never did find the eyeballs.
They never did. That was one of the main things they thought they were going to find when they went in that house.
You think you'd find them in a jar or a bag or something?
Yeah, they actually brought FBI stuff in that actually could see through walls, and scanning the walls to see where they could find them, and they never found them. And I guess he never told.
Yeah, but I don't know what he done with the eyeballs. But he spent his last days in prison. He said he was a model prisoner too. He just was very active in different things and was easy to get along with, and I guess he had that structure.
He always was, unless he had a real bad thing. There was a couple of times, there was cases of him breaking out in a rage, like once at a softball game. Some guys were giving him a hard time about, going down to go see a sex worker or whatever, and he turned around and started screaming, I hate whores, I'm going to kill all them motherfucking whores, and everybody's like, whoa, where did that come from, and then he come back later and said, he apologized for that, and he shouldn't have said that, and he kind of went off. And then there was another case where he had picked up a sex worker, and this one was, she jumped in there and told her that, he would go with her, and he would go with him and give her a flat back rate of $25 for that's just standard straight sex. And he said, okay, jump in, we'll go here. And she goes, no, I always go to this one hotel. And he said, no, we're going to my place. I got a place that I always go. And so when she said she wasn't going to go, she said she saw him, bust into a rage too and start screaming at her, basically saying the same thing, I'm going to kill all you whores. And so she just grabbed her mace out and shot him in the face, and she got away. So, maybe it was just when we got to think about this. I wonder, I don't know, maybe he's, all this time his mama was telling him about, his mama was in law school early and all that stuff. Maybe he just thought she was really a sex worker, and he was, until, I don't know, but he had met her later.
Trying to get back at him or something?
Or something to do that. Maybe it was the one who was 15 and, to give him the crabs.
Could have been.
Maybe that's what set him off. But something to do with this is, he seems like he's pretty straight and, I'm not a great guy, but still as far as none of this crazy stuff until he gets in this environment.
But it seemed like he went off the deep end when his mama died. That's when the real bad stuff started.
True.
Because other times it was just petty stuff.
Well, it could have been he didn't really want his mama to feel disappointed by him till she was gone.
Yeah.
And then there's no leash left after that. But hell, if you look back far enough, she might have been a big part of creating this.
Could have been.
I don't want to blame it on her, but I don't know.
It kind of reminds me of Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, because his mama done him the same way. She would dress him up like a little girl and, just torment him and make him do certain things. And I don't know, just that mama thing. I don't know.
It's kind of strange, yeah.
But anyway, that is Charles Albright, the eyeball killer.
Eyeball killer.
All right, dude, we're going to get out of here, man.
Let's get out of here. Let's roll.
We want everyone to be safe. Please be careful and always be aware of your surroundings.
Because the next episode could be about you.
This is the Crack House Chronicles.